Our reasons for being here will soon become very clear. In fact, with investments in our infrastructure, our people, and the future, the 2015 Ulster County budget has the potential to be truly transformative. So I'm pleased to stand before you as the county executive, able to say that this budget puts hard-earned money back in the pockets of our taxpayers. It improves access to the American dream for our citizens, and it helps level the playing field by providing even greater opportunity. There's more. It creates more jobs, it helps our economy, and it moves Ulster County's financial condition much closer to sustainability, something that for most local governments now may seem almost inconceivable. And because my administration's been able to deliver sweeping reforms while still ensuring more services than ever before and protecting our taxpayers in the process, by any measure of any organization, anywhere, the reform agenda we collectively began back in 2009 is working. And as a result, Ulster County is quickly becoming a model of good government around the entire state of New York. Now, having said that, I want to be clear. We still face enormous challenges, and irresponsibility now could undo all the progress we've made so far. But ladies and gentlemen, the fact remains, by partnering with our legislature and with the support of our amazing citizens, together, we've moved county government light years from where it was prior to our charter, when we were literally teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. But what's just as important to me is that you know exactly why my administration is so focused on fiscal responsibility. You see, at its core, it's about helping people. If the government isn't managed well, or it wastes your tax money, then there won't be enough money to provide essential services to help people in need. And so to avoid this problem, my administration has chosen to reinvent county government and not shy away from the tough choices just because they may be controversial. And as a result, we've saved millions. And now in the 2015 budget, we're able to expand critical programs that help people in need like never before. Programs like domestic violence prevention, with more counselors to help victims at a time when they need it most. Plus a 30% increase in funding for special advocates to help children during traumatic family court cases. We're able to fund critical winter warming centers for those who have no place to turn. And we're also providing more caseworkers for our senior population that's growing every day. In fact, by being fiscally responsible, we're also able to expand on our tradition of environmental stewardship with electric car charging stations, plus a pilot program for hybrids as well. And on top of that, we're investing in efforts that move high-speed broadband closer to reality for everyone. And by being fiscally responsible, we also have the money to invest in top priorities, like doing right by our veterans, and with greatly enhanced services, plus the Patriots Project, and a long overdue monument to Ulster County's fallen heroes. And last but definitely not least, because Ulster County government has chosen to be more fiscally responsible over the past 6 years, we've been able to protect our taxpayers with a series of property tax cuts while still ensuring more services than ever before. Ladies and gentlemen, my administration has always viewed the county budget as so much more than just numbers on a page. We see it as a critical roadmap that helps our community set its priorities and fund valuable programs for everyone, especially those among us most in need. So whether it's a mother trying to feed her child, or a homeless veteran looking for a safe place to lay his head at night, it's always been about helping people. And whether it's our Meals on Wheels program that for many seniors may mean their only human contact of the day, or our commitment to ensure quality mental health care for those in need, in spite of state aid cuts totaling over $8 million. You see, we know Ulster County budgets done right can make a huge difference in the lives of our citizens. And so together, with our amazing workforce, we've delivered on the promise of our charter, and I find it remarkable that together with the great people of Ulster County, we've accomplished so much while still overcoming obstacles like the largest financial crisis since the Great Depression, the worst natural disaster in our history, and the unnecessary loss of $5.4 million in state sales tax revenue, something that would have crippled most other governments. But I can assure you we're not like most other governments. And we knew full well that reforming government's not supposed to be easy. There will always be a few politicians in any community who will undermine responsible budgets for political gain. So when I think of our challenges, I don't think of the politicians or how unfair those challenges may be. Instead, I think of the great people of Ulster County and their opportunity for a better future, and that provides all the motivation we need. And so with this budget, we've ensured all the essential services our citizens both need and rightfully expect to be available. Plus, we've designed creative and powerful initiatives to address critical areas like education and job training to improve access to the American dream for everyone. And a $10 million infrastructure overhaul called Building a Better Ulster County that helps address a looming national crisis before it's too late, while it grows our local economy. And last but definitely not least, a comprehensive taxpayer protection plan that reduces the burden on hard-working Ulster families now and long into the future. So let's take a moment and talk about education and job training. First, I believe we as a nation must come to terms with the uncomfortable truth that access to the American dream is not always equal. And for some, the hope of a better job, a better education, and a better way of life for both themselves and their children remains only that, only a dream. And so in this year's budget, we have included a number of actions designed to improve access to higher education for everyone, plus provide valuable job training and real jobs for people in need. To begin with, exorbitant college tuition costs and crushing student debt are blocking far too many Americans from accessing higher education. But one shining exception has always been our community colleges. Unfortunately, New York State has woefully underfunded their financial obligation to community colleges, and in the process, they've placed a growing burden on county governments, and worse yet, on our students and their families. Last year, working with our legislature, we designed a creative solution that offset potential tuition increases with county rent reductions, and the net effect? There was no tuition increase at our community college this year. But unfortunately, as we approach 2015, New York State has continued to underfund its obligation. And so to protect SUNY Ulster students and their families, we've brought forward yet another solution. I've included in the 2015 county budget an additional $120,000 for SUNY Ulster, which virtually guarantees there won't be a tuition increase for our students again next year. So I want to take this moment and urge our state officials to match our overall contribution, and together we can lower tuition costs for our students and their families and provide even greater access to the American dream for everyone. For those of you who do not know, Ulster County already provides over $6 million to our community college annually. In fact, we're one of the top contributing counties in the entire state. And with our new Strive project, designed to further enhance access to higher education for inner city youth, Ulster County has demonstrated that we are deeply committed to education. Now, I know that for others, the American dream still remains elusive. Even though Ulster County's unemployment numbers are down and we've recently ranked as high as #1 in the state for private sector job growth. For some, the recession has not ended, and so we must continue to design new solutions. For those who receive public assistance from DSS and who may be chronically unemployed and seeking greater opportunity, we have designed a pilot program called a Career Ladder, a greatly expanded program with significant county funding to fill in the gaps between state and federal dollars and truly provide a hand up to those in need. Each participant will be provided a 91-day, 100% paid for real work experience at participating local businesses as a precursor to full-time employment. They'll also, yes, thank you. They'll also receive training and financial literacy skills, as well as have barriers like childcare and transportation removed. This is all done through a partnership with our local employers that can lead to a better future and permanent employment, with the ultimate goal of helping our neighbors in need into the workforce and out of the system. I also believe that as a county, we have an obligation to lead by example, which means being honest about problems and being committed to real solutions, especially the ones that move the government workforce closer to resembling the demographics of our entire county. You see, when I first took office, there was a grossly disproportionate gender gap within management positions in county government. In fact, leadership positions were simply dominated by men. But a great picture, isn't it? But by eliminating cronyism and running an administration that values what you know over who you know, we've shattered that glass ceiling that had existed for decades. In fact, today there are now more women in decision-making positions within Ulster County government than men. But it's also important to me personally that each and every citizen of Ulster County views municipal employment as a viable career path available to everyone, whether they choose that path or not. And to do this, we must ensure that members of Ulster County's minority communities also see opportunity where invisible but very real barriers may have existed in the past. And so in this budget, I have provided significant funding, specifically dedicated to expanding our recruitment and retention efforts within Ulster County's minority communities. It's not just to impact county government today, but also to impact the hiring pools for all government employees within our civil service region for decades to come. And leading by example also means we have an obligation to do everything in our power to ensure high-quality living wage jobs are available within our community. And so with this budget, we will also include legislation providing apprenticeship language for all bridge construction projects over $500,000. This language will ensure that responsible contractors bidding on qualified county bridges will help train the next generation of high-skilled local tradesmen. This action will help ensure enough well-trained local workers are available to take on the monumental task of rebuilding Ulster County's infrastructure and the infrastructure across our nation. As we all know, well-maintained and regularly upgraded roads and bridges are essential if we are to keep America great. But unfortunately, this critical infrastructure is deteriorating across our great nation, and as we speak, instead of passing the traditional 5-year federal transportation bill, the United States Congress instead settled for a grossly insufficient 1-year Band-Aid. In fact, at a time when we need this investment most, the federal government's infrastructure spending has now fallen to its lowest level in relation to GDP in the last 20 years. The real problem is we can't wait any longer. The incredible infrastructure built in the 50s and 60s is now approaching the end of its design life, And the truth is, America's roads and bridges are failing at a rate faster than they are being fixed. We've all seen the consequences, with horrific tragedies like failing levees in New Orleans and a bridge collapse in Minneapolis that killed or injured 150 people. Closer to home, we've seen this on our own New York State Thruway, when a bridge collapse in Montgomery County killed 10 innocent people and virtually shut off upstate New York. In Ulster County, we've seen infrastructure failures too, with the Herbert Popple Bridge in the hamlet of Kerhonkson. This project was costly and would have required tough choices, so it kept being postponed. Not once or twice, but for 14 years, until one day a state bridge inspector had no choice but to red flag it, and suddenly it was closed. This wasn't just an inconvenience, it was nothing short of a full-blown crisis for the people of Kerhonkson. Their fire and EMS facilities were on one side and a large number of their population was on the other. This bridge closure had created a potentially deadly delay in emergency response times, and it was completely avoidable. The people's safety had been compromised because their government didn't work. So one of the first things my administration did when I came into office was immediately design a solution that fixed this critical community link. And I am very pleased to say thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, today the great people of Kerhonkson now have a well-engineered, beautiful new bridge that will last for generations. Our goal was to fix it right, and we did. Since I've taken office, in an effort to avoid situations like this, we've partnered with our legislature to address a number of desperately needed projects, and our DPW has been nothing short of extraordinary. They've delivered project after project ahead of schedule and under budget, all while rebuilding critical infrastructure after Hurricane Irene, Tropical Storm Lee, Superstorm Sandy, and some of the toughest winters ever. But the truth is, there's still so much work left to do. So in addition to DPW's great accomplishments, we also partnered with other contractors to create a multiplying effect. And because of that partnering, we should note, infrastructure projects also act as a major economic engine. In fact, our infrastructure spending over the past 5 years is responsible for the growth of over 100 high-quality jobs and millions of dollars in positive impact on Ulster County's economy. But even with all the work that we've done, there's still an overwhelming amount left to do. And massive amounts of hard-to-find dollars are needed to pay for it. So let's take a moment and look at the gravity of the situation. First, did you know that Ulster County is responsible for the maintenance and replacement of 423 miles of county road? That's the equivalent of driving from New York City to Buffalo plus 50 miles more. And we're also responsible for 158 bridges and hundreds of box culverts. And though you may never notice these box culverts, they are extremely important. They move large amounts of stormwater under our roadways. What you see here are the remnants of what was previously a quiet country road and a single box culvert. When Hurricane Irene hit, it tore a 30-foot deep, 50-foot wide canyon into County Route 47 and required us to install an entirely new bridge where a box culvert had previously been, at a cost, by the way, of almost $750,000. In fact, the cost for fully maintaining our infrastructure is astronomical, but the cost for avoiding this responsibility is even higher. And that dramatic increase of our that has dramatically increased our level of concern, because the fact is our typical bridge's lifespan is 50 years, and the average age of an Ulster County bridge is now over 42 years old. Add to that the fact that we need upgrades to our road system to support greater traffic loads, increased pedestrian usage, plus the care and replacement of those hundreds of box culverts. The fact is, if we are to begin reversing this troubling national trend and avoid costly and dangerous breakdowns in the future that undermine our economy, we have to dramatically increase infrastructure funding right now. So I'd like to take a moment and discuss an unprecedented initiative in Ulster County's budget, one we're calling Building a Better Ulster County, a multi-million-dollar infusion of money to greatly expand our repair, upgrade, and replacement program, a plan that will supercharge infrastructure across our great county while it grows our local economy. A plan that will help better prepare and protect our valuable infrastructure from the next natural disaster that we pray it never comes. And so with our Building a Better Ulster County initiative, we are utilizing significant one-time revenues to create a much-needed $3.5 million special infrastructure investment program to leverage and jumpstart over $10 million in critical infrastructure projects across Ulster County in 2015 alone. This effort will allow us to at least take important steps towards turning around the local portion of this huge national infrastructure crisis before it's too late. And so while most other counties are only beginning to worry about their deteriorating infrastructure, in Ulster County, we're doing something about it. You see, our history of fiscal responsibility has put us in the unique position to provide critically necessary and unprecedented infusions of county funds, and though it's not enough to complete the entire job, it will make a significant dent in the process. Ladies and gentlemen, our infrastructure needs are massive, and the unavoidable truth is our county's recent loss of $5.4 million in sales tax revenue has hindered our ability to address all the infrastructure needs that now face our citizens. But we're not alone. I am positive the City of Kingston's infrastructure could have greatly benefited from the $600,000 they lost as well. And so while we address these issues with the resources that we do have, we are also committed to protecting taxpayers and not taxing them out of their homes. So the last budget initiative I'd like to discuss today is our comprehensive, multi-year, multi-government taxpayer protection plan. There's a number of facets that together are designed to deliver real and meaningful property tax relief for the great people of Ulster County. These components include qualifying Ulster County taxpayers for New York State rebate checks, a county property tax cut for 2015, the creation of a property tax stabilization reserve to protect our taxpayers now and long into the future, and a commitment to a 2016 county property tax cut as well. Plus the real potential for a town property tax cut from the $13 million of safety net relief we provided, including $7 million in this year's budget alone. Plus, an exciting election cost rebate plan for town and city governments. Now first, I'd like to discuss exactly how we've helped qualify Ulster County property taxpayers for rebate checks from the state of New York. This year, Governor Cuomo's administration designed legislation with an exciting taxpayer relief component, one that would provide tax rebate checks directly to qualified New York property taxpayers. But with this legislation, there was a catch. Rebate checks would only be made available to residents who live in municipalities that meet certain criteria and raised their property taxes only to the tax cap limit. In effect, that meant counties who raised property taxes up to the limit would be eligible for rebate checks, but counties that either held the line or lowered property taxes were ironically not eligible. Unless this legislation was altered, our taxpayers wouldn't qualify for these tax rebate checks. So I went to Albany and advocated for change on your behalf, and I want to thank State Budget Director Robert Megna for being so open to our concerns and for redrafting this legislation to allow counties like Ulster to also qualify. That was St. Patrick's Day. You notice how everybody has green. As a result, our residents are now eligible for both a local property tax cut and a property tax rebate check from the state as well. You see, by embracing innovation and constant belt-tightening and an amazing workforce, we have once again been able to reduce county spending by $1.67 million to help our citizens while still ensuring more services than ever before. And because of that, and with deep respect for our homeowners and small business owners too, my administration has once again designed a county budget that lowers your property taxes. The great taxpayers of Ulster County are now scheduled to receive a reduction in their tax levy of over $750,000 or 1 full percent for 2015. The reform-based agenda we've implemented, ladies and gentlemen, is working. We've done all this, and using strong management, we've also rebuilt our general fund balance to the level recommended by the New York State Comptroller's Office once again. And the 2015 executive budget also establishes, for the first time in Ulster County's history, a responsible $1.5 million property tax stabilization reserve to protect county residents from unpredictable fluctuations in county taxes. On an annual basis, or as required, funds will be placed into this reserve for the sole purpose of guarding taxpayers against unforeseen increases. Increases like escalations in unfunded state mandates or even the impact of another dangerous sales tax blockage. In fact, these tax stabilization reserves are precisely the kind of responsible best practice that our state comptroller's office and our bond rating agencies have recommended for all county governments, but that so few are able to achieve. And because of our actions, not only have we earned a bond rating upgrade, but in the fiscal stress test report issued by the State Comptroller's Office that examines financial stability of all municipalities, they've ranked Ulster County as the #1 most financially stable county in our entire region. Because of our multi-year strategies, we're also able to announce an unheard-of component in our taxpayer protection plan. Ladies and gentlemen, assuming this budget remains intact, and that's a big assumption, there's an unprecedented second-year property tax decrease commitment, not just for 2015, but for 2016 as well. That means for 4 years combined, 2013, 14, 15, and 16, the county property tax levy, the amount we actually collect from our hardworking taxpayers, has decreased for the great people of Ulster County. Yes. It's hard to find any government anywhere to save the children. But as exciting as these efforts are, there's still 3 unpredictable factors that could stand between you and a multi-year property tax decrease. First, the county legislature must maintain its current spending restraint and continue to partner with my administration. Second, the state of New York cannot drastically increase mandates or block future sales tax revenue. And of course, we must be spared from devastating natural disasters and emergencies. But barring issues like that, what this plan does is, assuming we can all work together, the taxpayers of Ulster County can now count on a reduction in their county property taxes for the next 2 years in a row. The nice part is that's just the beginning. All of our hard work, belt-tightening, and reform for 6 years, by the way, has the potential to reduce your town taxes too. Today is a special moment in time in which we celebrate the culmination of a $13 million safety net relief plan that my administration designed back in 2012. It was created to help town and city governments, but more importantly, it was created to help our shared taxpayers. A 3-year phased-in plan that I'm proud to say also solved decades of gridlock within our legislature. But what made the safety net takeover such a success was not the fact that it was phased in over 3 years, It was the difficult internal spending choices that freed up the $13 million needed to pay for it, plus the structural changes needed to cover the $7 million in annual relief we'll provide to our towns and the city now and long into the future. So I urge our town officials, especially those who have received the most, to use this enormous financial windfall to help lower town property taxes for our shared constituents. Unfortunately, to date, far too few have been able to do so, I'm sure for a multitude of reasons. But sadly, there's even a report of a supervisor repurposing this relief to give himself a raise. And so, to ensure maximum transparency, on the information insert that's included with your property tax bill each year, we've created a special section specifically dedicated to highlighting just how much safety net relief your town has received to help hold down your property taxes. That way all property taxpayers can be fully informed. What you see here is a sample showing the county providing slightly over $1 million in safety net relief to this particular town over a 3-year period. That means the town government's safety net expenses in this case have been reduced by over $1 million, but it doesn't mean the town's property taxes went down proportionally. It's important for taxpayers to know that going forward, the city and all town governments will no longer have any safety net expense at all, and I'm sure that will make a big difference. So it's my great hope that a large part of this huge financial windfall will be dedicated to taxpayer relief and returned to the people who actually paid the bills, the great taxpayers of Ulster County. To make that easier, we've also designed a multi-year county takeover of yet another unfunded state mandate that impacts our towns. A 3-year county takeover of election costs, something that's often referred to as HAVA or Help America Vote Act. But simply shifting a major expense like this from one government to another doesn't do anything to help our taxpayers. So we've included a taxpayer safeguard in this process. I will require in this legislation that our county comptroller's office deliver to my office, the county legislature, and the public a report detailing the actual benefit to taxpayers associated with these unprecedented shifts in state mandates from the towns to our county. We've done all this taxpayer protection because my administration understands and never shies away from this basic fact. Combined property taxes in the state of New York are still too high. They've been driving people and small businesses away, and most of all, they've been harming working families at every level of the socioeconomic spectrum. And so I believe with our management strategies, real relief can be accomplished for the people of Ulster County, and we can still ensure more services than ever before. And as we've restructured county government and protected our taxpayers, we've cut spending, become leaner, more efficient, and 32% smaller. And with nepotism and cronyism gone and the days of bloated county government a thing of the past, our taxpayers now have every right to be proud of the hard-working county employees that do amazing work for them every single day. And so while many counties are struggling to enter into contract agreements with their workforce, I'm honored to say that in this budget, we've also included funding for a 2% annual cost of living increase as part of brand new contracts for the 840 members of CSEA and NYSET, as well as the vast majority of our other county workers through the end of 2016. What that means is as a result of these tentative agreements, 95% of Ulster County's unionized workforce will continue to have the safety and security that comes with a labor contract for the foreseeable future. All this has been done with great respect and recognition of our hardworking taxpayers as well as our committed workforce. We have employees who for a number of years have graciously accepted no pay increases to help close budget gaps and protect taxpayers. And so on top of all this, I'm pleased to say that in this budget there are also absolutely zero layoffs. Now after hearing about all these important initiatives, as well as new labor contracts and a series of greatly expanded programs to help people in need, plus providing unprecedented relief to our towns while facing a loss of $5.4 million in sales tax, you may be asking yourself, how could we accomplish all this and still lower your property taxes? The answer is this. We've been reinventing county government for 6 years and we haven't stopped. We've made the hard choices that others either couldn't or wouldn't make, solving important but gut-wrenching issues that have been avoided for decades. We've consolidated, restructured, and streamlined over 14 different departments, reshaping the majority of Ulster County's government in the process. And my office has been vigilant in addressing fraud, waste, and abuse aggressively. And as a result, we've reduced the county's spending by over $25.5 million in just the last 2 years alone. All while filling more services. In fact, Ulster County's $334 million 2015 budget is only made possible by a combination of all these changes. And there's more reform left to do. In fact, of all the cost reductions that have occurred within county government over the past 6 years, executive controlled departments have been responsible for 113% of all the savings. The extra 13% we've saved as a result of these reforms has been used to offset increased spending in other areas not overseen by the administration. And that ratio is completely unsustainable. And so, with all the progress we've made so far, I must caution that we are far from done. There are serious issues that could block property tax relief, undo all the reforms that now benefit our citizens, and irreparably separate our county from stronger infrastructure and sustainable services. Dangers like cuts in state aid, rising mandates, increased safety net, future pension and health care costs, natural disasters, demand for more services, infrastructure breakdowns, and unfortunately, the potential future blockage of sales tax revenue as well. Individually and collectively, these are all serious concerns. But perhaps the most dangerous concern of all is a convenient misperception that can sometimes permeate the thinking of elected officials. A mistaken belief that as a result of our previous hard work, we must now be flush with money and should spend it as fast as we can to curry political favor. Ladies and gentlemen, that kind of thinking would be catastrophic. The truth is, over the past 6 years, my administration has made a constant series of complex and interconnected financial decisions that are working. They're working to provide a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the people of Ulster County, not for the politicians. What you see here is the trajectory of Ulster County's pre-charter government. This represents exactly the direction we were headed. And the fact is, if we hadn't made such massive changes, it would have required a shocking 115% cumulative property tax increase over the last 6 years to support that status quo. But instead, we instituted some of the most sweeping reforms in our history. And without losing access to services, our county's taxes are still going down. And because of responsible budgets, our spending levels are now at below pre-charter levels. But we don't do this alone. And I want to say a special thank you to our partners in the county legislature for helping make this a reality. Our actions as a group have created a unique moment in Ulster County's history, a chance to move past annual financial crisis, to protect important programs from deep cuts, to make our critical infrastructure strong, and if we're responsible and not political, we can push away the dangers of crushing property tax increases for years. And so I remind our elected officials, irresponsibility now could not only ruin a multi-year tax reduction and harm services for those among us most in need, it could also send Ulster County irreversibly down a hole it's taken us 6 years to climb out of. You see, we live in an amazing place, and working together, extraordinary things are possible. The $334 million budget better helps the victims of domestic violence while holding the perpetrators accountable. It helps our children in family court and helps ensure warming centers to save people from the coldest winter nights. This budget provides more services for Ulster County's deserving veterans, and while curbing the growth, still provides a responsible $1 million in additional funding for our sheriff's office because our citizens have the right to feel safe in their homes. And I am pleased to say it provides even greater access to the American dream for everyone, with job programs for people in need and meaningful actions that promote living wage jobs and greater diversity across our entire municipal workforce. And with this 2015 budget, we also commit to building a better Ulster County by investing in our infrastructure at historic levels, by investing in our people, and by investing in Ulster County's future too. We're doing all this while we still protect our property taxpayers, because I never forget that they're the ones who actually pay the bills. And though we still face serious challenges, in Ulster County, we now have more essential services than ever before, and our property taxes are actually going down. A fact that's only made possible because we don't run a typical government. We've embraced innovation and change, and we've listened to the great men and women of Ulster County at diners and at farm stands, at churches and at synagogues, at their kitchen tables and at the corner store too. And everywhere I go, I meet hardworking and caring people who just want their government to work for them and not waste their money. Because the great people of Ulster County have every right to live the American dream that they want. And working together, we can help make that American dream come true. Thank you very much.